All right, I'll just indicate that last Thursday, County Council Belmont forwarded some information to Representative Gomberg and Senator Roblin about biosolids, and proposed a concept that would make a minor change in the ORS, but would keep the same general requirements and allowances in farm use zones, but would also add the ability for local review and approval. The bill relating to biosolids would allow for further discussion and refinement. So we have actually forwarded information to our representatives in an effort to address the biosolids issue and provide some local control. So we hope that will move forward, and at this point it's a legislative concept, but as Commissioner Thompson can attest, that's where the bills are born. So
well, it went down to draft. That's the important thing. There's a date cutoff, and I found out that it's down there.
So we've made the first cut.
You got the most important thing, and that's get it in place.
Get it in place. All right, good news. So that's all I have.
Excellent.
Anything else from commissioners? All right, next item would be constituent input. This is an opportunity for individuals to address the Board of Commissioners on any item of interest. We ask you to limit your comments to no more than 5 minutes. Commissioners may or may not respond, and we do have a sign-up list. I believe some of these were presenters, but I'll call them in the name that they are listed. Kim from CARE, I believe she was a presenter on domestic violence. Betty Kamikawa, you're here, and please come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm Betty Kamikawa, and I am here representing Save Our Siletz River. And I left the packet up for you on your desk there.
Yep.
And we would like to request funding in the amount of $690 to have soil sediment sample and analyzed for 8 different compounds. The chemicals are found in biosolids. The sediments will be taken from the Siletz River bed below the area where the biosolids have been applied. We'd like to find out if these biosolids are getting into the river for sure. So we would like to test the sediment. At a later date, we'll probably want to test the water once we start having a lot more rain, because we believe it's being washed off the fields. The 8 compounds, I'm not going to read off what they are. They're on your list there. What they are used for, or what they're the type of chemical. They're detergent, metabolites, fire retardants, and then 4 of them are polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. So these are all things that would be found in biosolids. They won't be found in cattle manure. They shouldn't be in the environment. If they're found in the environment, they came from biosolids. I got the list from the U.S. Geological Survey. Their list of 25 chemicals found in all 9 of the biosolids samples that they studied. So I picked out some. I found a lab in Kelso, Washington that does this testing, and they are sending me the sample jars and the protocol for taking the samples. There's a chain of custody involved. We will videotape it, the sampling. Everything will be done the way it needs to be done. They will be shipped however they say to ship them. It'll probably be FedEx overnight. If they need to be on ice, they'll be on ice. Whatever is required, we will handle. But we are asking you for the $690 to pay for the testing.
Commissioner Thompson.
So Wayne, make comments on this, because there's different agencies involved in different things. How do we handle something like this? or do we handle it?
Well, we've talked about doing
Yeah.
testing. That's one of the things
Right.
that we have suggested that we look at. And what we don't have yet is the parameters for what the testing is, when, where, how. I mean, I appreciate the stuff that's in here in terms of, I think that's one of the things that
That's
we've
a big
raised
step forward.
Starting point.
it's a good starting point because it's a different set of tests, a different set of constituents you're testing for than is what is in the normal biosolids. I think what I would suggest, maybe Betty, is to have a little further analysis, and we can bring in a couple people who do some of the testing stuff here in terms of where you're going to do the testing and when.
Right.
And maybe you've got some ideas along that, but you want to, you know, what you're doing really with something like this is looking at a baseline.
Right, right, exactly.
This won't help you if, you know, it may be a different kind of testing that occurs within, let's say, 7 days of the actual application. Or the first storm event that occurs, you know, after the application that occurs. You might get different results. So
Right.
the part of what you need to do is make sure you're working towards an appropriate scientifically based baseline. And you know that, you're a scientist. You know that.
yes.
So, you know, what we have to see how this kind of fits into the overall testing, but this might be an interesting first start.
One of my questions is, if we do it, which departments it's gonna go into? Who's gonna do it? I mean,
I think that the
Well, it's just a
independent
private
testing,
lab.
what
It's
we
an
would be
independent
doing in this
lab.
particular
Yeah.
circumstance is providing some funding for an independent
what I'm
testing.
worried is, if you do it yourself, without some supervision or somebody
Right.
that's behind it,
Yeah.
there's some questionable of credibility. Where if you have simply a department that's there and involved, that credibility would be much more substantial.
Well, my suggestion is we've
Right.
got some people who have, you know, that we're looking to do the testing, including Stan Vanderweider and Ed from the tribe.
Right.
We can have them review some of this stuff with Betty, you know, and talk about, you know, and then maybe provide some of that you know, assurance that this is being done, some oversight here.
Right, we would be happy to have anybody who wants to come along with us. So if Stan wanted to come along with us, that'd be great. He could come up and watch them sample, and he could be the one who signs off on it if that's, you know, on the chain of custody, if he wants to do that. And we could send it through the tribe, you know, FedEx it, have them FedEx it out of their department. However you want to handle it. We want to do it before the first rain, because right now it'll be very easy for them to get sediment samples. Once it starts to rain a lot, sediment's not going to be possible. It's just going to be too hard to get out in the river. And then we turn to water testing. And but we just want to find out if it's there or not.
It's an interesting.
That's the main thing. We
You know,
just
the main
want to
thing I
know.
want to suggest is we obviously need to develop the overall protocol.
Right.
for testing. And that's going to come.
Right.
So this is sort of a first shot. And I don't want to just say that, you know, anybody comes in and wants to test stuff, we're going to test it. But this relates, I think, back to what we were talking about.
Directly.
I just am not I don't feel comfortable myself saying this is the right protocol or you know.
Right.
testing
Right,
we do.
right.
I like the approach.
But
Bringing
we
this
can
right.
talk to some people, you know,
Right.
that are into testing. We can
Absolutely.
do that.
And if the tribe can't, maybe soil and water, maybe somebody else, but as long as there's, you know, but as long as there's some, yeah. Yeah, I'd be supportive
Absolutely.
as long as there's
Absolutely.
some outside objective agency observing.
Can I suggest too that we're also, along these lines, the testing area, we've actually come across some additional potential funding out there. And we're going to be talking about seeing if we can access some of that funding that'll actually help with kind of an overall program, really set up a more robust overall
Okay.
program beyond just an initial first time testing. But if I can, if you want to give me permission, I'll work with Betty and work with, and I'll bring in Amy Chapman on our end because she is our
Yeah, that's who I was
scientist.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about doing this and see what we can get going.
Yeah,
If
maybe
that's-
Amy
if
could
that's
be
what
the
you want to do.
observer.
I think it's a good
We're gonna do it,
step.
let's do it right.
Yep,
Right.
let's do
Right.
it.
First,
I agree.
We'll work on it.
Thank you, Betty.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, again, we have a couple other names on the list, but I think they're presenters. Tracy Cummings
Yep.
and Michelle Branham. Anyone else wish to address the Board of Commissioners? All right, seeing none, our next meeting will be on Wednesday, October 10th, 9:30 a.m. right here in the Board of Commissioners meeting room. And until that time, we are adjourned.